Today, in a joint teleconference with President Trump and European leaders, Volodymyr Zelenskyy says he warned the U.S. president that Putin is bluffing when it comes to making peace with Ukraine. The White House is lowering expectations on Friday's face-to-face in Alaska. To help us understand what is going on here, we turn to Charles Kupchan, senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, for tonight's interview. Charles, I want to get your reaction. Let's start with that. You had Trump, Zelenskyy, other European leaders. Everybody, including Trump, seemed to say the call went well. What's your take?
You know, I think the Europeans and President Zelenskyy were freaking out about this summit because they thought that Trump had moved on side, that he was standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine and Europe. And then suddenly he announced he's going to meet Putin in Alaska. And in some ways, that has the prospect of their worst nightmare, where Trump cuts some kind of deal over the heads of Ukraine, over the heads of Europeans, and then tries to force it on Ukraine. So I think what was going on today was an effort to align Trump with Zelenskyy and with European leaders. These are the red lines. These are the trade spaces with Russia, but don't make a bad deal. No deal is better than a bad deal. I think that was the main message in their call today. A
lot can change, though, in the next 2 days, as we all know. Trump said Putin is going to face very severe consequences if he doesn't agree to end the war. Does the president, Trump that is, have tools in his toolbox to actually punish Putin here? Does he have anything left?
He's got some tools. They include sanctions against Russia. There are some banks. There are some other sectors of the Russian economy that have not yet been targeted with sanctions. He can also impose tariffs on those countries like China and India that buy Russian oil. He's already begun to do that with India. In some ways, I think the most important thing he could do to put pressure on Putin is say, I'm going to send more arms to Ukraine. Because in the end of the day, Putin may not stop until he's stopped. And that means giving Ukraine what it needs to defend itself. I think what Trump is going to do in Alaska is feel Putin out, try to figure out where he's headed. I'm not particularly optimistic that we're going to see much of a breakthrough on Friday.
You don't have very high expectations at all. I mean, the White House itself is downplaying the meeting, saying they're going to feel him out. What should we, you know, the general public here, looking at this from a distance, how should we set our expectations?
You know, I think there are a minimal set of gets that Trump can aim for. A temporary ceasefire, an agreement to stop targeting civilians on either sides, the beginning of a framework for a broader peace settlement. But the core of the problem is that at no point since Trump has come to office do we have any indication that Putin is ready to back away from his maximalist war aims. And that basically means toppling the government in Kyiv, demilitarizing Ukraine, and turning Ukraine back into a Russian vassal state. We, under the best of circumstances, will get some indication from the meeting in Alaska whether Trump can convince Putin that he's not going to get there and that he needs to start making compromises and concessions.
When you look at it here, Charles, Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy, has been talking with Putin for a long time now. What's he going to hear from Putin that he hasn't already heard from Witkoff and his people?
You know, we don't know what happened in Moscow a few days ago when Witkoff was there, but it was after that meeting that Trump said, I want to meet my friend Putin in Alaska. So one would hope that Witkoff heard something that gave him hope that Putin was actually ready to negotiate in good faith. But what we really have to listen for is the following, that even if Trump gives Putin 80 to 20% of Ukraine that Putin occupies, right? If he says, okay, we're not going to try to get that back from you for now, the key is for Putin to say that 80% of Ukraine is that's still free is going to be an independent, sovereign, secure state that can live as it sees fit. That's what to watch for. That would be the key that we're getting closer to a real deal.
Okay, we shall see. Charles Kupchan from the Council on Foreign Relations, thank you so much tonight for the insight.